you turned it off.
I did. Eight. Alrighty. So, what song is this?
That's the theme song.
Yes.
Chick.
Sing it. Who you, what you thinking about? Got a cocker maybe looking you right. You know the gears have been turning for quite a while now, and a feeling of how I want to fly this plane home. I'm home. I'm going home. I'm home. I know who and what I've been thinking about. Gonna blow a beat from the high.
Gotta be singing.
Gotta be white and always will dark and low in the sky. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Oh yeah, that was funny as hell.
Forgot the hoo-has.
We're not forgotten.
We're not doing the hoo-has.
All right. You can do your own hoo-ha.
We're not doing the hoo-has or the
All right. Well, so let's. All right, everybody, settle down. Settle down. Settle down. We're welcoming our audience right now to our rehearsal. Hello, audience. Say hello, everybody.
Hi. Miss Hill better be watching.
And all right. So Leah wants Miss Hill to be watching.
But she's too sick.
Oh well. Well, let's all do a little squeeze of love to Miss Hill right now in her sickness.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope she feels better. So, I'm glad. Okay, it's time to settle down now. Okay, we're going to be rehearsing the song that we are going to record later today, called "The Church in My Mind." You guys know that song. You like the song, correct?
I love
Yes.
this song.
Nikki, what do you think
Oh,
about
do we
it?
get to sing it on air?
Yeah, we're going to sing it on the air.
And do you want me to be in it too, or just the choir?
No, I want everybody to be in it.
All right. Okay.
We don't have Merrick today to do part of the backup harmony with you, but you'll do your backup harmony. But first, I want to ask you guys what you think about the song, and I want you to also think about what it means in general. And Nikki, first I want to ask you, what do you think about this song of ours, "The Church in My Mind"?
Church in the Morning is like a really peaceful thing. Like, it's really relaxing. And I've actually will admit that I have listened to it a couple times when I was upset.
Oh yeah?
Aww.
And it has helped me a little bit.
That's nice.
And it's also one of my aunt's favorite songs.
Really?
When I showed her the lineup of the songs and everything.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Torin, what do you think of it?
Does it want to talk?
Go ahead. You can be real.
I think the song is really pretty.
You think it's pretty?
Well, I usually kind of all of the songs as a musical instrumental kind of view.
Yeah?
I think just the arrangement of the instruments are just like really nice.
So it's less about the words and more about the set, the like orchestral setting of it that you
I
like?
don't like the words.
I know, I'm sorry.
The words have a lot of meaning, but I feel like the music has a little more meaning than the words.
Really? And what does it mean to you? The music, like what do you think the music itself communicates? Pretty. I like that. Leah, what do you think of "The Church in My Mind"?
I think. Well, I mean, I like that song because from the way I understand, I like the fact that it's about like there's a church where like you can, it's more open. Like it's not like you can't swear, you can't blah blah blah. It's not like that's why I like that song. It's more about a church that's more open. I don't know.
Really? So you're.
I mean, I think that's what that song is about.
Well, I
right?
think that's actually a really good observation. So the way you see it, that the song "The Church in My Mind" is about a place that everything is welcome.
Yes, not strict like most religions.
Well, I suppose, and there's probably something to be said for the fact that they're. And Sophia,
I'm listening.
are you really?
It's just that the lights are too bright.
Oh, I see. All right. Well, I don't know if the camera can see that we have Sophia and Sarah lounging here on the floor before us, but
School is tiring.
School is tiring.
Yeah,
All right,
hate
well,
school.
that's
Hate
all right.
school.
And so I guess if you guys were to go to a church, you would want to go to a church where you could lay down on the floor just like this.
Yep, I would.
Yeah.
And
What do you guys?
all day.
Yeah, Jacob. What do you want to say?
I think "Church in My Mind" reminds me of Tribe. Because
Does
it's
it?
kind of like our own little church.
That's
where
interesting.
We can express ourselves however we want.
That's actually a very good point. Danielle, what were you going to say?
I think Church in My Mind is a beautiful piece. It's pretty much a beautiful song. it's pretty much a song that I can pretty much listen to and do it something.
Yeah.
Sad.
Pretty much it.
I like those ideas, and Jacob, I like what you have to say too. And the truth is that I'll tell you how and when I wrote this song. I actually decided several years ago that I wanted to go to a monastery for a week. And so I went to a monastery and I didn't talk for a whole week.
What the?
I can't, if you can believe it.
I can't do that.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I have to say it's a lot easier to not talk than you think. The only times that I found myself talking by accident were when I was talking to myself.
Oh.
You know, like if you're doing something like, oh my God, that was so stupid. Oh, I'm talking. You know, and those are really the. I didn't have any problem. I really actually liked walking down the hall past somebody and not having to say anything to them, because you kind of forget that. Especially for me, who always wants everybody to feel good and to feel appreciated and all that kind of stuff. That's just how I am. To walk past somebody in the hall and not look them in the eye, to not greet them, to not, make sure that they knew a smile from somebody else. That was actually a really freeing experience for me. But sitting in that monastery for a week, and I'm not Catholic, but I went to all of the services because I just kind of believe that you should see what other religious services are like. After a week there, my first thought was, I wish there was some place in the world that existed where everybody felt welcome, and that you literally took all of the different religious ideas and that together they sort of formed a puzzle that you put together. That like, this religion is just one puzzle piece and this religion is another puzzle piece, and those puzzle pieces are fine, but when people get together and they worship a puzzle piece, they're sort of not seeing the whole picture. So I kind of was left with the impression that maybe this religion, that religion, they're not wrong, they're meant to fit together. So the church in my mind, is actually a real imaginary place. Does that make sense? That you can have something that's imaginary and real at the same time? In fact, Leah, you have an active imagination world that you hang out in.
Yep, its name is Chi-Chi.
Its name is Chi-Chi.
Yep.
And and that's a real place to you, correct?
Yep.
And it's some place that you go and that you visit. And scientists have proven that whatever occurs in your mind is real to you. As real as if you were doing something physical.
But it's not.
When people who are training to run a marathon visualize running in the marathon, when they're hooked up to electrodes and things like that, their body and their brain show that it actually thinks it's happening, even though they're just imagining it. So what you imagine to be real, or what you imagine, is actually a reality. Now, the church in my mind is a reality to me. I picture it as being a place where all religions get represented and the histories of all these different faiths get represented, and you can actually learn about them individually. And then
What do you mean to get represented?
Well, meaning that as if you were looking at in a museum where all of the different religions were explained about what they think. I guess so, except for it would be more than just religion.
So does that mean that I am right about what the song is about?
Yeah, you are right. You are right. Actually, you are all correct. And that is really what the song is about. The song is really about being able to be yourself, Jacob.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Exactly the way you are, and assume that that's a puzzle piece that fits into the picture. I mean, I know for a fact, and quiet from the peanut gallery over there, I know that tribe wouldn't be the same. The landscape of the tribe wouldn't be the same without you. It couldn't possibly be. It wouldn't be as interesting. Same is true for Danielle and Nikki and Roxy and Shai and Sarah and Soph and Emily and Torin and Stephanie and Lisa and Leah and everybody behind the camera and Merrick, who's not here, and Brian, who's not here.
And quitting
yes.
is not the answer.
And quitting doesn't help anything. We're here together, and we are all individual puzzle pieces. And Jacob, if I were to stand here and go, my new religion is Jacobism.
What the?
Okay, and we all have to dye our hair purple right now, or else terrible things will happen to you, and we will kick you out of the tribe unless you subscribe to Jacobism.
Okay, I'm
Okay,
You know what?
never
First of
mind.
all, that would be so incredibly boring. Not because Jacob isn't interesting, but because if we're all Jacobs, then who's going to be the Emily? And who's going to be the Torin? And who's going to be the Will?
Sarah.
You know what I mean? And the Sarah.
And Leah.
And the Leah. And all of you guys, okay? So, if you were to... I mean, how do you guys feel about... Actually, I'm going to ask Torin. How do you feel about religion in general?
Because you love to talk so much.
Go ahead.
Religion is good to an extent.
You think religion is good to an extent?
Except for
Speak
the
louder.
I can hardly hear you. I'm sure our
I
audience
said I
can.
have my own religion. I believe what I want to believe. If someone wants to believe something else, just don't push it on me.
Right? So you don't want other people to push their religions on you? Because you have your own thing.
Just like
Kind of
Mrs.
like an
Lane.
opinion.
An opinion.
People have their different opinions, but
Yes.
sometimes people will push them on their side.
That's actually, Sarah, everybody applaud Sarah right now. Okay, I'm going to tell you what she just said. She was saying that basically all these people's religions are opinions. It's a spiritual opinion. And that needs to be put into that context too. It isn't to say that what anybody thinks is wrong, even if they're totally extreme in their views compared to you. But everybody needs to remember that religion is an opinion about what really goes on in the world. And you are entitled to your own opinion.
Well, then why do people push their children to be that way then?
Well, that's a cultural thing, and you know, people have very strong opinions about their opinions, and they, you know, want to make sure that, you know, they believe that what they believe is the absolute correct thing, and they want to make sure that they protect their children by sharing that view with them.
Ew.
And you know what? That's okay. That's all right.
I don't.
It's important. The one thing that I would always caution people on is never to assume that theirs is the only way, and that anybody else who thinks differently than they think is utterly wrong. Not only wrong, but subject to terrible things like going to hell for thinking it. Yes, Nikki?
I had someone ask me what religion I was, and I flat out said I'm Wiccan, and they said, "Oh, you're going to hell," and walked away. I was like, "That happened to me too." Excuse me?
So because the answer you gave was I am Wiccan, they walked away from you.
Because Wiccan has a bad rep of being evil,
Yes.
and it's really
Well, and
wrong.
there's more
It's all
than
about
there's.
connecting fear.
You're not the only pagan/Wiccan in this group.
Yeah.
Anybody else here identify
What's
that way?
Wiccan?
I know this
Yes.
is off topic.
Okay, so more than half of this group
I don't know
actually
what Wiccan
identifies as in an alternative old world religion. What?
We don't know what
I know
Wiccan
this is like we're not supposed to talk about this.
No, we can talk about whatever we want
What
here.
is Wiccan?
What is Wiccan? That's a good question. Okay.
I've never heard of that.
Wiccan is a religion, although it's actually not really a religion in the purest sense. I'll just clarify. The word religion actually means a belief system that deliberately says it is the only way, and it encourages you not to look at other religions. Okay, but the opposite of religion is dharma.
I love Dharma.
You like dharma?
You know, because it's more
Dharma,
open.
Dharma is like Buddhism is a dharma, Hinduism is a dharma, Wiccan is a dharma. Wicca actually, among other things, tells you that it is okay to look at other religions, and in fact, other religions help inform our own. So, religions typically exclude other ideas. Dharmas typically include other ideas. Now, here's something for your brain. Christianity is a dharma that masquerades as a religion. Not masquerades. I take that back. That almost sounds like I'm being critical of Christianity. And the truth is I'm Christian. And the part of Christianity that I most believe in is the idea of forgiveness, which we here in Tribe have to experience on a regular basis, because we have conflict here within Tribe sometimes, just like any group of people, and you have to sometimes forgive those people who have bothered you. That's a practice. That's a dharma, the dharma of forgiveness, the dharma of Christianity. But then you guys also know about the religion of Christianity,
I have a question.
and that's a very different
Well,
thing.
I'm so
Wait 1 second, Leah. Yeah.
You didn't even explain what that was.
What Wicca was? Yeah, I got sidetracked. Wicca is a dharma. Some people would refer to it as a religion, that practices.
Wiccan though.
Well,
Is it like witchcraft?
He's getting to it.
I have to say that I'm uncomfortable using the word witchcraft because that has a lot of baggage to it. But it is the thing that judgmental religions would put in the category of witchcraft.
Magic. Just say magic. Then.
Well, you know what? Magic is a weird word too because magic exists in all faiths. Even in Catholicism, the transformation of the wine into the blood of Christ and the bread into the body of Christ, that's considered that would be considered magic in other religions. But Wicca is an old world practice that basically founds all of its structure on the seasonal cycles and the moon cycles, and is largely based on an agricultural cycle.
What do they believe though?
What do they believe? They believe that you are, every cell in your body came from this planet, and that to worship the planet is to worship yourself. To acknowledge the honor of the planet is to acknowledge the honor of yourself, and that everything that happens with you is something that's happening within the planet at the same time, and vice versa. So to honor the planet is to honor yourself.
So they don't believe in a higher, like Jesus or higher power?
They actually believe in Jesus as a teacher, and maybe even as a Messiah. They don't exclude any of that at all. They include every teacher. They include the Buddhas and the Mohammeds and even Gandhi, who wasn't a deity, but there's no exclusion to it. And in fact, I have been to some full moon rituals and stuff like that where things from all different faiths were included in that time.
So what's paganism?
Pagan, if you're a Christian, pagan is anything that's not Christian.
Cool.
So even Buddhism is considered pagan to a Christian.
Is Wiccan?
Wiccan is considered pagan to a Christian. Anything that's not Christian is...
Atheist too?
Yep. If you're not according to Christianity, I'm talking about my own observation of Christianity, and everyone will have a different opinion about it. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm being critical about any particular religion, because I really do subscribe to them all as one large puzzle that fits together.
Go see Mrs. Lane.
But essentially, what it comes down to is, in our present day belief system, we mostly believe that all things are possible. I know that
That's funny.
Yeah.
The Christians, Catholics, I don't really know which religion it is,
Mhm.
says God loves all his children.
Yes.
Why do they not like gain to their children?
So you're saying that the Christian faith says that God loves all His children.
Christian or Catholic?
Well, they're both.
Church.
That particular message is the same. So to repeat what you just said, make sure I'm clarifying it. Is that if they say that God loves all His children, they also say that God doesn't love gays and things like that.
They like
Right.
my sister went to go to the church,
Yeah.
and they completely gays, lesbians, transsexuals.
Well,
They
and
tell them you can't be in here.
I know, and
It's like what the fuck is this?
Wait,
That-
why doesn't God want people to listen to pop music or like music?
yeah, I'm not so sure that God feels that way. It's more about how what religions feel is a good influence on people. And you know what? There are lots of religions that require women to cover their hair, or for people to wear 3/4 length sleeves and never short pants and things like that. And there's actually, or to be silent if you're a monk under a vow of silence, or other things like that. There's so many different ways of shutting off a part of our culture so that you can experience a higher thought. And that, like, for example, the nuns who wear a habit. They're completely desexualizing themselves. And there's something to that. There's actually an energetic, philosophical, psychological benefit to women desexualizing themselves. Not because what they're doing is wrong, but because it actually gives them an entirely different frame of mind to experience their world through. Not because it's right or it's wrong. And you look at nuns dressed in a habit, and you think, oh my God, I would never do that. But those who choose to do that actually experience the world in an entirely different way because of it. And it opens their mind to an entirely different way of being as a result of that. One that we shouldn't judge. But Torrin, were you going to say something?
We all picture a church in our minds differently, but why don't we sing about it?
We actually all do picture a church in our mind differently. We'll be there in just a moment.
There's a church
And-
in mine that we can swear.
Well, and you know what? In the Church of Leah, you can swear.
Yeah, you just got mad.
But and why do you want to? Well, yeah, I don't really want you to say the F word on public access television, Sophia. Please excuse me for thinking that way.
Oh, sorry.
Um,
I should have said it wait until we were in like the car.
no, it's all good. Did I call you Leah?
No, you called me.
I did call you Sophia. Anyway,
What was my nickname again?
Soapy.
Sophie.
No, her nickname is Stuffy.
All right, so let's actually sing this song.
It's like on. What time do we leave?
Do you want us to stand or?
No, we can sit, but I want you guys. I want to really hear you.
This song is
Okay.
for Miss Hill.
All right.
So we did
Restrain yourselves. Are we ready? All right. Am I going to get to hear you nice and loud?
Oh yeah.
If I can remember which press to come in at.
I lost what track this is on. I think it's on 8.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Lost it. Track.
Are we listening?
There you go.
Okay. We're going to record this so we have to practice.
There's a church in my mind where the children could go. There's a church in my mind with no devil, I know. And God is a nice man who likes me in spite of, or just maybe because of the sinner I am, and sinner I am. There's a church in my mind where no wars would be fought, and nobody will tell you all the things that you're not. And God is a nice man who likes me, sits with me in wonder, no walls torn asunder over things that I find in the church in my mind. There's a church in my mind where the tongues would all speak in their own special language for the God that they seek, and then come together and share what they know. For when we come together, we only ever grow from the things that we find in the church in our mind. For there's a church in our mind, and in the songs that we sing, in the robes that we wear, in the faces we bring. And God is a nice man who likes me because of, yes, I know it's because of how other I am, and brother I am. There's a church in my mind where the butterflies sing nice and loud as they flutter around you for the changes they bring. And change is coming, there's newness in all. The others are trying, new light from the cold. We remind everyone in the church in our mind of the things we shall find in the church in our mind, of the things that I find in the church in my mind. All this and more, I know I will
church in your mind.
Oh yeah.
Sorry I made you guys sit up and it was time for you to sing.
Well, no.
I'm gonna take you from your nap. I know, but I know that, but I was looking at it on camera going, look at Sophia and Sarah just lounging around on the floor so they don't care at all. When I know you guys do care and are into it and you're singing, but I just thought I'd sit you up. You guys can lay back down now if you feel. What?
I'm so upset. I couldn't get that high note that I was supposed to do.
You couldn't get the high
I was
note?
just like,
Well,
That's
what.
what.
it wasn't.
Well, that's what's important about a rehearsal. That's what's important about a rehearsal.
But
So,
that's because I'm getting over a cold.
well, all right.
But normally I can hit up a high note, but
Well, it's
that
okay.
was just not coming out.
Nikki, it's
singing.
okay. Nikki, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Now listen to me. Listen.
No.
Listen, there's something that I want you to take away from the experience of working on this song. And that is that in this day and age, all forms of spirituality and what you think happens to you when you die, which is essentially what it all comes down to,
Heaven.
is valid. Every opinion that you have is valid. Whether you are Wiccan, Buddhist, Christian, atheist, Jewish,
I heard a joke about atheists.
Confucius, Taoist, Janist,
What's that?
Jacobist,
Jake, I
whatever you think,
still want to tell that.
whatever you think is actually correct.
In your mind.
But no, in your own mind, in your own church.
In South Park, how they play God as a dinosaur with the dogs.
The reason why it's correct is because it's all part of the life experience. It's all part of the continuum of what people imagine spirituality to be. And it all fits into the puzzle in its way.
I like the South Park devil because he has like tiny legs and like huge buff bodies.
Yes, the South Park Devil it's
Well,
very interesting.
I need to tell you a funny joke after.
Okay, that's fine. You can save it till after. All right.
Really funny.
4:30.
So,
3:30.
Shy ran. You and I and Roxy. You guys were in my Sunday school class with me.
Yes.
And what do you think about what I've been talking about today versus the type of things we talked about back in Sunday school?
It kind of seemed different
Yeah? How?
because we were more towards the Christian side. We were talking about other Christianity.
Yeah? Well, Christian is an important language in our culture. I mean, so much of
Christian
our
language.
Christian. Well, and I mean that in a metaphoric way. I mean, essentially, they're all languages that speak about what we imagine God to be, or what occurs on levels outside of our bodies. And yes, when we were in a largely Christian setting together, we used that language a lot. And I use that language a lot in my music, even though I don't consider it to be religious music. I reference it. Our song "Carry On" says, "How can I remove the speck from my brother's eye?"
I don't
And
care what that song's about.
that's actually we'll talk about that one at another time.
Okay.
But that's actually an important Christian thing. Christ said, "How can you remove the speck from your brother's eye when there's a plank in your own?" And I'm paraphrasing that, I'm not wording it exactly, but that's essentially, it's like, how are you expected to help other people when you are practically blinded by that same problem yourself? So,
sounds like me.
so that's a Christian wording of a concept that is universal. But because we live in the culture we live in, talking about things in something of a Christian language ends up communicating it effectively. Because that's essentially the language that we live in. Even Wiccans or Buddhists, when found in a largely Christian culture, might find themselves using the language of the Christian world to express their ideas. Because that's what you do. If you go into a foreign country, you learn their language so that you can communicate things to them. Did you enjoy those Sunday school experiences?
Huh?
No, you didn't, Roxy?
I always felt pressured because I've been to several churches,
Yeah.
I've been to a vegetarian church,
Yeah.
and I always felt like if I didn't, believe in God or something, that I was gonna go to hell. And
Really?
I just felt like it was like a big pressure on me at the time, and I was literally like, whoa.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
as I
we're-
got older, I kind of just started thinking to myself and pushed all of that away.
I can understand that. And you know what? There's a lot to be embraced about things. But thank you for joining us today for our interesting discussion.
Bye.
I spelled your name wrong?